Resident Evil 6, barring a couple of reviews, a lot of people have shit all over this game, so I feel obligated to give you my thoughts, so let's talk about this. Resident Evil 6. And in Resident Evil 6, there's actually a couple of outbreaks that happen. You now have 3 campaigns. Well, you get 4 campaigns, actually. You beat the main 3, then you get a 4th one. It's kind of a secret one, you know, it's one of those, you're done with the game, but you're not. There's another campaign. I would almost consider it spoilerish talking about the 4th campaign, so I'm not going to tell you whose campaign it is. Mainly in this review, we'll talk about the 3. So among these new zombie outbreaks, I'm still going to call them zombies, although at this point, they're not really zombies. They're infected people, but they're intelligent, you know, they can use machine guns, and, you know, you pop their heads, and big vines grow out of it and wave everywhere, and beanstalks go up to the sky, and fee-fi-fo-fum and all that weird shit. Anyhow, the 3 campaigns you play in this game are Leon Kennedy, Chris Redfield, and a new guy named Jake. Jake, I forget his last name, Jake, but his name's Jake. And the 3 campaigns more or less have different playstyles to them. I mean, it's the same game. When I say different playstyles, each campaign has a unique quality to it that the others don't have. That being said, it's still a third-person shooter zombie game. Now, the first campaign I'm going to touch on is Chris Redfield's, because that was the first one I played, and more or less, it's Resident Evil 5, but it's Resident Evil 6 now. It's more action-based, you're a big dude, you get big guns, you and your partner go around, you just waste the shit out of zombies. Or rather, infected dudes who grow bean sprouts out of their arms and heads. And yes, I say third-person action game because that's what Resident Evil 6 is, just like Resident Evil 5 was. Sadly, we have to come to terms with the fact that Resident Evil is no longer a survival horror game, it's now a third-person action game. Do I think that's weird? Yeah! Resident Evil started the survival horror genre. Seeing the franchise move away from that is just odd to me. That being said, it has. Now, the next campaign I played was Jake's, but I heard Jake's campaign is horrible because it's like hand-to-hand melee combat against zombies that use machine guns. It sounded abysmal, and I wasn't looking forward to it. That being said, I really liked his campaign. Everyone more or less has melee attacks, but he has like straight up. He can power up a punch and just make that zombie eat shit and grab him by the feet and throw him into other zombies. At first, it frustrates the hell out of you because you're like, they're using machine guns, dick. But when you get it down, you start to master it, you can really wipe out an entire room of these infected dudes with just melee combat. However, it's not all he does. He does have weapons just like every other campaign has. So you're not forced to use his hand-to-hand combat. You can use the shotguns or the rifles or pistols or whatever. However, the melee combat ends up being really powerful and really awesome and an effective way to clear out an entire room of zombies. When they're all closing in on you, you're like, oh, boom, I got my guns. Then you play another campaign after his and you miss the fact that you can just kick the shit out of these zombies. You're like, oh, I missed my melee. The third campaign is Leon Kennedy, and at first, it does harken back to Resident Evil 4. It has more of that survival horror vibe, you know, it's really dark, you have a flashlight, you're going through these really dark, menacing rooms, you know, you're like, yeah, this is taking it back to Resident Evil. And Leon fights zombies at first. They don't grow beanstalks and sprouts out of their arms and necks. They are the infected, walking, undead zombies. 3 stories that take place at the same time. I actually really liked how they were all crossing paths. You play a campaign, then a couple chapters in, like Chris Redfield will run across Leon Kennedy, and you're like, oh, holy shit, what's he doing here? Then you play Leon's campaign, you find out what he was doing there. It harkened back to Resident Evil 2. I like that about 2. Now, people have bitched about the fact that since the gameplay campaigns are different, the game suffers from really not knowing what it is or what it wants to be. It's not like it's like Die Hard Trilogy for the PlayStation 1. It's not like one campaign's a driving game, another campaign's a shooter game, another campaign's a third-person action game. They all play very similarly. They're just little things here and there that make one different from the others. Another gripe about the game is that it's 3 smaller stories rather than one big story. It's like Resident Evil 6 is trading one set of complications for the other. It does have smaller character campaigns, but you do get more perspectives. Does it have its flaws? Hell yeah, it has its flaws. Is it annoying as shit sometimes? Yes, you bet, but that's kind of Resident Evil tradition at this point. I've never played a Resident Evil game and not wanted to throw my controller through a wall. Shit just rips my head off in one frame before I can even react. I'm like, well, you know, now I'm dead. Yeah, thanks. Game. I felt that Resident Evil 6 was an improvement from 5. First of all, the AI. If you play alone, and I do because it's really hard for me to find a friend who wants to play Resident Evil at the exact same time I want to play Resident Evil, so I'll end up playing the game alone, in which case the partner you have going along with you is just the computer AI. In Resident Evil 5, it was the dumbest AI I've ever seen in a game. I'm out of ammo. No shit, you unloaded an entire clip into my back and didn't shoot any zombies. Douche, what did you think was gonna happen? In this game, they're pretty self-sufficient. You don't have to micromanage them. You don't have to give them ammo. They take care of their own. They hold their own. I saw my partner was sniping zombies and hitting zombies and killing them, and I was like, good job, you. And what's really cool is you can join other people's games online as the enemies. I got this little notification. It's like, so-and-so is joining your game as an enemy. Now, it was really intense. It was a hard zone, so I was in game mode meets rage mode. I was like, what douchebag wants to play this game to keep me from beating it? How miserable do you have to be in life to try to ruin my world? Then when I got past the zone and calmed down, breathed, counted to 10, breathed in through nose, out through mouth, meditated a bit, I was like, you know what? That is one interesting feature. I like that. I'll probably do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. Till then, I just hated the douchebag that killed me. And this game's a little more lenient on ammo. I felt Resident Evil 5 had survival horror ammo in an action game. So you're running low on ammo for the first half of the game. You're like, I just want enough ammo to beat a mission. But my stupid AI partner is just pissing ammo into the wind, and the rest of the ammo I'm just trying to live on. It was a situation I didn't like. This one's a little more lenient on the ammo. We're like, all right, now we recognize it's an action game, so here's some action game ammo. You have more ammo by the end than you know what to do with, because you save it because you're still in Resident Evil mode. And then by the end of the game, you're like, look at this cornucopia of ammo. I can just waste anything. You'll die a lot in this game. You'll get frustrated with this game. There are these moments where it's like, oh, hit R1. But in the time it takes for the signal to go from your eyes to your brain to recognize that you have to hit R1, then from your brain to your hands to hit R1, then your hands back to your brain, you've already been chewed on in your face. You're dead. So you're like, oh yeah, that just wasn't enough time for me to react and hit R1, dick. Those situations are in the game, but they're not as prominent and they don't happen as often as I heard they would. In the end, the 4 shorter missions that take place at the exact same time offer the really cool perspective, so you get to see everyone's missions and how they intertwine and how they work together. That's really cool. But ultimately, you do recognize the story is smaller in length. However, I do think Resident Evil 6 is an improvement on 5. I enjoyed it more than 5. If you liked 5, you'll love 6. If you didn't like 5, you probably won't like 6, because 6 is still an action game. But has it been shit on more than it should have been shit on? Yeah, you bet. Does it deserve a 4.5 out of 10? No. I'll say you don't have to buy it at full price. Wait till it takes a price cut, goes down to about 40 bucks. Buy it, enjoy it, because you probably will. Just accept the fact that Resident Evil as survival horror is gone. It's in the past. It's probably not coming back. So your favorite Resident Evil game, what is it? Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.